Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Rex, who is back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. The Hawks win a game in Utah, 124-121, on another Trae Young game-winning bucket at the buzzer from 50 feet. Trae Young does it again, snaps the losing streak, gets the Hawks back into the win column once again. We're going to break it all down on Believe in Hawks tonight on this episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the pod to talk about this game that, listen, with the game-winning shot, there's a lot of things that the Hawks were doing good, and then there were a lot of things the Hawks didn't do well and allowed Utah to stay in this game, and it got to the point where we needed that type of shot from Trae Young so we wouldn't go into overtime. So we're going to talk about all that on the episode. If this is your first time listening to Believe in the Hawks podcast, hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the episode, like the video, leave a comment down below about anything we discuss in the video. Love to hear from you guys. And also, audio listeners, do the same thing as well. Leave a rating, leave a review. Let people know about Believe in Hawks. And like I said, for my audio people too, if you can't watch the video, but you want to hear what I got to say about something, don't be afraid to go to the audio. Do not be afraid to do that. So appreciate, like I said, you guys coming and talking about this win tonight. Obviously, the West Coast trip is almost over. They've been on the road for 2 weeks, been a lot of late podcasts, a lot of late nights. May have noticed I've been tired a little bit. It's just part of it, man. Part of it, but I'm here to give you the content because that's what you guys want. And so that's why I'm here giving you this analysis. So, obviously, I like to say there's three things in life that are absolute: death, taxes, Trae Young game winners. That's just the three main things in life that are just going to happen. You have to expect them. And Trae Young gave us another one of those tonight. Trae Young also gave us another 2020 game, his third of the season, fourth all time. And the third of the season is tied with John Stockton for the most in a single season by a player. And I think he is now also second in NBA history in most 2020 games as well. So Trae Young could very well, by the end of his career, be number one in 2020 games, if not breaking it this season for in coming years. So a lot of praise going towards Trae Young after the way this game went tonight. And like I said, him hitting that game-winning buzzer at the end was obviously huge for the Hawks to not just win the game and, like I said, snap the losing streak, but just help them not go into overtime. Listen, when you're on a long road trip like this, and you've heard players say being on the road and the travel is one of the hardest parts of the game, it really helps not having to play that extra 5 minutes of basketball, extra 5 minutes on the legs, especially when you've been having some injuries during this road trip. Obviously, Jalen Johnson missed this game again today. We'll see if he'll be available for the Phoenix game coming up, but just really, really big shot just for a lot of reasons. So obviously, we all know what Trae Young brings to the table. We know why he continues to show us he is one of the most clutch players in the NBA. And Trae didn't particularly have a great offensive night tonight. This was one of those games where he definitely relied on his playmaking tonight to really, carry this team. Hawks had 35 assists total as a team tonight. So, they were definitely going into what they do when they win games: 30-plus assists, ball movement, equal scoring. They had multiple guys, 7 guys exactly in double figures tonight. So they got even scoring throughout. But obviously, we all know when it comes down to it, when you need the big bucket, you know who you go to in these situations, especially with Jalen Johnson out, and that's Trae Young. So obviously, like I said, really, really good way to, like I said, get back into the win column if you're the Atlanta Hawks. So if we break this game down, it was a tale of two halves to me, where in the first half, the Hawks really controlled the majority of the game. They had 10-plus point leads in quarter 1 and 2, and they were controlling the game for the most part. But one of the things that kept Utah in the game was they were hitting threes. The three ball single-handedly kept Utah in the game. And then, obviously, if the Hawks are not able to maintain the offensive rhythm, because they had some times in this game where they went cold, that's when Utah could creep themselves back into the game. Now it's a close game. And really, when the second half hit, it just kind of remained a close game throughout. Hawks were never really able to get that separation once again in the second half. So, because the second half, in terms of scoring, was a 0. No team scored more than the other during the total second half in terms of total points. Hawks won the third quarter by 1. Jazz won the fourth quarter by 1. So, very even second half. First half, Hawks only won the first half by 3 points. But again, in both of those quarters, they had 10-point leads, and Utah fought back to get back into the game. And like I said, maybe became closer than a lot of Hawks fans would have liked it to be. And it was one of those games where Utah obviously is a team that's tanking, a team that is not good this year. So this is a game that you looked at during this road trip and said Atlanta needs to win this game, win the games that you're supposed to win. And especially with the way they've played the last 3 games, being blown out in 3 consecutive games, you really just needed something good to happen here. And you luckily were able to get that against the Jazz, get that win that you were looking for. Lauri Markkanen obviously is a tough matchup for any team. He led the Jazz with 35 tonight. Collin Sexton, Trae Young battles. We know about those. He had 24 tonight. Walker Kessler really came alive more in the second half, especially on the boards. Hawks were taken advantage of in terms of the offensive rebounding, especially in that fourth quarter when they would try to crash or Capella would come help. And then Walker Kessler, he is the best offensive rebounder in the game statistically this year, was able to take advantage of Capella crashing on defense, helping on defense, and getting some putback buckets for the Jazz. Patty Mills also, former Hawk, started the game off hot. He hit like 2-3 straight threes to begin the game. So Patty Mills gave us a little bit of a fright of that Patty Mills is going to go crazy tonight, like a Javon Carter type game. But luckily that did not happen. And the Hawks were able to kind of control him after that for the most part. But, I mean, really, like I said in this game, like I said, the Hawks, for the most part, controlled this game. They just, the second half, it became ugly. The refs allowed Utah to play more physical with the Hawks, which the Hawks had to adjust to. One thing that you can do to this Hawks team, especially with the way they play, is you could be very physical with this team, and that can really throw off the team. That can lead the team to creating turnover or leading them to make turnovers. And Jazz it's almost like one of those things where you kind of realize how the refs were reffing the game and then said, okay, they're reffing it this way. We can now play them this way. And so they were getting more physical with the Hawks throughout that second half, which I think was really big for them to just stay in the game and defensively and not allow the offense of the Hawks to really have one of those runs to really create that separation in the game. Hawks were able to make some key shots throughout the game. DeAndre Hunter had a few big threes in this game to really help them, just hang on. Obviously, Trae with a couple of big threes for the game winner as well. So they were able to get, like I said, contributions from different guys tonight. But overall, I think that, like I said, they really needed to get back in the win column tonight, and they really need to get a win like this. And so it was really good to see them be able to pull this out and put themselves back in a good position where, you feel good. You're, like I said, one more game left in the road trip before you come back home and play Houston this weekend. So, Hawks are almost there. The lights at the end of the tunnel. And hopefully, like I said, Jalen Johnson will rejoin the team here in the next couple of games and get this team back at full strength, which is usually when they're at their best. And we've seen this team at full strength can beat any team in the league, can go toe-to-toe with teams in the league. So you definitely want to see that once again with this team moving forward. I want to say that one thing about this Hawks team is like you clearly could see the absence of Jalen Johnson just because it feels like offense is much harder for them. These stretches, these runs, I mean, we've statistically seen that the Hawks have not been good without Jalen Johnson this year, but you really have seen it in these stretches of games. The Hawks are struggling to generate offense a lot more without him, and it's putting other guys like a Garrison Matthews to have to, obviously put up more shots. And Garrison had been playing well before the last couple of games, but, just putting themselves in a position where they, obviously need more from their other guys. And remember, the Hawks, one of the weaknesses of the Hawks, they don't have a lot of shooting. And outside of Jalen, DeAndre, and Trae, and Bogey, you don't really have a lot of guys in your rotation that you're like, those are scorers. And so when you lose one or two, like they've lost Bogey and Jalen for the last couple of games, you really don't have as many guys who can put the ball in the basket. So you're hoping that your other guys can step up. Obviously tonight they were able to get that, like I said, 7 guys in double figures tonight. Trae obviously led the way with 24, but getting 18 from Capella. He had a great night finishing around the rim tonight. This was a really good performance for Clint Capella and a much needed performance, especially if you have a Kongu struggling in this game offensively. Garrison Matthews didn't have a great game offensively. He put up a lot of shots, but wasn't making a lot of them. Vic Krejci gave you 13 tonight, 5 of 6, 3 of 4 from 3. I mean, that Krejci has played better as the games have gone on from offensively, and I've said this is huge for Krejci if he can provide offense, because the issue with Krejci before was he was coming in and giving you 2 points, and it's just like you need a little bit more, especially right now. They obviously need more with Jalen out, but you want to continue to see him continue to give you something offensively like this, play defense, create some secondary playmaking for other teammates, and that continuing to help out what they want to do offensively if you're the Hawks. So that's obviously one thing as well. But, Dyson, listen, I'll get into Dyson here a little bit more in depth about him, because I have a feeling I know what they're going to do at backup point guard now. I think we've seen our best results with Dyson kind of playing that spot. I know that may not thrill people that he has to be the backup point guard technically at times to basically give us a much more organized offense, but that's kind of how things have to go. And then Richiche again also as well, giving you 14 tonight, playing more aggressively as well. So, that's kind of where we stand right now with the Atlanta Hawks. So let's go through the guys. Let's go through the player performances. Trae Young, like I said, 20 game tonight, 24 and 20. 9 of 10 from the free throw line, 6 of 16 from the field, 3 of 10 from 3. Only 2 turnovers tonight, and also had a block in this game. Trae Young, man, he's honestly, out of this entire road trip, Trae Young has had a really good road trip. He has had multiple 30-point games. I mean, he's led the team in scoring in almost every game during this road trip. I mean, he has been really, really good. And basically what you needed from him from an offensive perspective is what he's given you in these last few games. It's just, again, with the injuries and other things, the Hawks just have not been able to get enough offense from other players. And then the defense has also suffered as well. So, it kind of looks like Trae's just getting you buckets, but it's not leading into any wins. And there haven't been any competitive games during these last 3 losses to kind of show or for what he's done for this team to stand out more. And tonight, he kind of went back to having a bit of an offensive struggle. But like I said, his ability to impact the game through his playmaking, where even if he doesn't have his shot going, those 20 assists that he had tonight are still just as effective and still just as important for this team. Just because that means he's creating good looks for the guys. And when you see 20 assists and then you see 7 guys in double figures, you're thinking, okay, clearly Trae Young was a big part of the ball movement. 35 assists total tonight, 20 of them coming from one guy. So it really, I think people have said that this may be, again, the best way for the Hawks to play. When the Hawks had their winning streak, Trae Young was kind of giving you about 20, 22 and about 15-ish assists. He still leads the league in assists per game. He leads the league in total assists in this season. And he just continues to play at a really high level. And from that perspective. So, Trae Young, every game is different. There are going to be games, like I've said, that he's going to have to, give us 30. There's going to be games where in this game where every bucket and every point counted for him, but every assist also meant a big deal of success for this team as well. And so, that's kind of the way that Trae Young has always kind of had to play his game. And now I think within the system that they're running this year, it is now allowing that to show more to the forefront with this Quinn Snyder offense. And now the playmaking, I think, is getting even more seen and more appreciated by a lot of people and creating the reasons of why Trae Young, I think you're hearing chatter about he needs to be an all-star this year. And we're seeing people say all-star starter as well. Trae Young, is a guy who very embattled player in terms of how people perceive him. But, I mean, a person who's watched him since he's been a rookie, and for a lot of you who've also watched him since he's a rookie, you've always known what he brought to the table. And for him, really out of all his game winners, he's hit the 3 game winners. He's hit the floaters. He's hit those. I think this is his first buzzer beater from half court, which, a lot of players don't hit that type of game-winning shot in their career. But now Trae Young can add that to his bag of types of game-winning shots he's had, which is that game winner, especially after Colin Sexton hit a very tough shot over Vic Krejci on an almost steal by Dyson Daniels. And for Trae, obviously, in that situation, you're just trying to get a shot up just to have just give a shot, just see if we can win the game here. And, you see players practice half-court shots all the time. You see players practice getting up these half-court shots, and a lot of the time in a game situation, you're obviously rushing or you're trying to get a good look, and so it's a little different. And where if you're in pregame or in practice, you're kind of just like, all right, let me just set my feet, practice, boom, let me see if I can make one. And for him to make one of those, especially when we've seen Trae Young through the Hawks social media videos, hitting buckets from the seat in the stands and different things, it's good to see him hit one of those in the game, and he said that after the game as well. It's nice to hit one of those shots in a game. So, like I said, really big shot for Trae Young. Add that to the compilation of game-winning shots Trae Young has made in his career, as that shot was obviously a very big shot for them tonight to get them a win. Dyson Daniels, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. So Hawks had 35 assists for the game. 27 of it came from Dyson Daniels and Trae Young. And the thing is that I think Quinn seeing this, out of everybody running the offense this year when Trae Young is not in the game, Dyson Daniels has ran the offense the best when he is in that point guard position. And I've said this too multiple times, that when he is in that point guard position, he seems to be more aggressive. Dyson is a bigger guard / wing guy. So usually if he's playing against smaller guards, since he's playing that point position, he's taking advantage of it and attacking them. And he's going after his matchups in those positions, and he's getting some buckets off of that. He had 16 tonight. And I think he also has shown good control. Only 1 turnover tonight. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that Dyson, I think, makes good decisions with the ball in his hands. He doesn't turn the ball over a ton. And I go back to that Laker game when Jalen was healthy, because they basically ran a lineup where with Garrison shooting, they want to keep that on the floor. So they said, what if, and they didn't play Krejci that game, but they said, what if we just have Dyson play point? And I think the Hawks may be going in that direction where that will be the answer. Unless they make a trade before the trade deadline, it seems like they are going to be comfortable letting Dyson Daniels run point. And I think that's why you've seen the rotation change again with substitution patterns, where Trae Young comes out for like a quick 2-minute blow and Dyson runs it a little bit, and then Trae comes back in to give Dyson a blow. And tonight they mentioned on the broadcast about they call this unit a bridge unit, the unit that's supposed to survive when Trae's not on the floor, and Dyson now runs that unit at point. And it's Bogey, Hunter, either Clint or Kongwu, and then that could be Ricochet or whoever, right? And they're just like, this is the unit that we kind of use to kind of help bridge those minutes when Trae's off the floor, but feel like we still have some playmaking, some scoring on the floor as well. So, that's something that I've noticed about Dyson in that role. And I think that's what the Hawks are going to start going with more moving forward, is Dyson in that backup point guard role and letting him run the offense so he can give Trae Young some rest. So very interested to see how that evolution continues to go. Obviously, Dyson does so much for this team defensively. He gets on the boards, had 6 boards tonight. Just a guy who does a lot for this team and continues to be a utility guy for Quinn Snyder and the Hawks. Clint Capella, like I said tonight, 18 points, 6 rebounds. Clint, man, he had his finishing badges on from 2K. Dunking on guys, posterizing guys, aggressive around the rim, understanding, hey, I'm going against a tall front line, no layups, not a lot of floaters, unless it's like a wide open shot. He had a couple of good alley-oop floaters, or not floaters, but like layups. But really needed all 18 of his points tonight. You needed to get something from your center position tonight. And Clint was able to give you 18 big ones tonight. And so that was really good. And like I said, Clint's had his struggles last few games, but tonight was a good game for Clint Capella. And like I said, that was the type of performance that the Hawks really needed from a guy like him. So really, really big game for him, and it really was a key part of why the Hawks were able to come away with this win tonight. 9 of 11 from the field. So obviously aggressive offensively and making shots. Rishi Shea, 14-6 tonight. As I've mentioned, I continued tonight. Rishi Shea had 11 points, I believe, in the first half. He's been aggressive, much more aggressive the last few games. And I think that, that just showing also the opportunity, Jalen out, hey, we need a little bit more offense from you. But him maybe, again, showing more comfortability and growth, feeling like, okay, yeah, we need to get a little bit more offense from the guys. But, Rishi Shea, if he can get double digits scoring a game, like I said, that's a huge boost to their lineup. If Rishi Shea could get them around 10 to 15 a game, I think that is a really good offensive an offensive standard for him to be at, because that probably shows that he's aggressively looking for a shot. Tonight, 2 of 4 from 3. He's making some threes, getting more confident with his shot from that perspective. And just, like I said, going willing to attack the rim. And sometimes, Rishi Shea plays a little out of control. But, that's just part of it. That's part of it. And when he learns how to play more under control, I think that will also help improve his offensive game as we continue to move forward. Vic Krejci, like I mentioned tonight, 13 points, continues to give the Hawks some offense. Really, really important for him to give them offense just because of, like I said, you're down Jalen Johnson. But like I said, Krejci's been a guy who I've mentioned needs to provide more offense to the Hawks so they can have more success and just help with the offensive load. So 13 points for him. He's a guy who, like I said, another utility guy for Quinn Snyder, and a guy he has a lot of trust in. So Vic Krejci, really, really good stuff from him tonight. Bogey tonight didn't have a great offensive game. Hit 3 threes in this game, 4 points. I mean, four field goals overall out of 10 shots, 11, 1, 3. Bogey's had a very weird year. From the injuries, being in and out of the lineup. He's gone through some slumps. It just feels like he has yet to be able to get settled in to the team, because he's not playing enough basketball consistently with the team to get settled in. And so you're getting just a bunch of janky play from Bogey, and you're just kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to get from him on any given night. Obviously, I know people brought up him playing in the Olympics, how that may be coming back to hurt him with these injuries, which is obviously very much possible. That could be what's happening with Luka Doncic as well and other guys. But, I just feel like that's one of Bogey's biggest issues, is just because he has been in and out of the lineup and in different things like that. His role has kind of changed. It just feels like he's not on the same wavelength 100% yet with the rest of the team. And hopefully, it seems like he's not going to play in back-to-backs right now. So hopefully he's able to play in some games, get some more reps with the guys, and get a little more comfortable and get more closer back to the Bogey that the Hawks really need. Because Bogey is such a key piece of what they do. And so they need Bogey to be the Bogey from last year, the 6 Man of the Year Bogey. Because if they could get that guy back, that can only help take the Hawks to another level. DeAndre Hunter tonight, 4-7 from 3. Really, that 3-point shot has became a dangerous weapon for him. 17 points total in the game, 4 rebounds. Just hit a couple big threes, man, in that game, especially in the fourth quarter, just to help give the Hawks some breathing room or help keep the Hawks steady. DeAndre Hunter, he's been steady most of this entire year. Like I said, he'll have a game where he's off. That happens. But for the most part, continues to be very impactful for this team and continues to play big minutes for them and really help out what they're trying to do out there. And so, obviously Hunter, a guy who just, like I said, has had those reemergence this season. People say he's in 6 Man of the Year running and things of that nature, and he continues to show that again tonight and why he's played so well and things of that nature. So really, really big stuff from Hunter tonight. Kongwu did not have a good game at all tonight. I was surprised he had 0 points before that dunk. He just hasn't. It wasn't a good game. It just felt like he missed a lot of putbacks tonight. He only took 5 shots officially, but it felt like he just missed a lot more. It felt like it was just bad. He was battling with those 7-footers and he was struggling. And Kongwu struggles with size. So that was evident tonight. And so he didn't really have the greatest game. He fought though, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, but obviously you want a little bit more from Kongwu in a game like this, and that's why they finished with Clint. And then Garrison Matthews, like I said, 9 points tonight. Didn't have a great offensive game. Was aggressive offensively, looking for the shot. Just was not really falling for him tonight. But again, the fact that he's now able to kind of do other things, drive to the rim, attack the basket. Not everything is a 3-point shot for him. Obviously, the majority of his shot chart is going to be threes, but trying to, again, help the team in different ways if he can. And so, obviously, Garrison's doing what he can. But, yeah, like I said, overall tonight, Hawks, like I said, get a really important win just to keep themselves steady, break the losing streak, get back on the winning track. Now you have a very interesting game coming up against the Suns, a team where they just hit rock bottom, people say. Bradley Beal hitting the bench. He's unhappy. They just lost to the Hornets, who's lost a ton of games. This is going to be interesting because, this easily could be a game the Hawks let the Suns get themselves back on track and they win and they have a great game and they get blown the Hawks out. But there's also could be a game where the Suns' struggles is still so bad the Hawks are able to steal one. I really don't know what to think of that game going into it. I don't know what to expect. Both teams kind of have their up and down play, so I don't know what version of both teams are going to get going into that game. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that for sure. But I think that's about it for me today, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning into the Believe in Hawks podcast for another episode. Definitely go ahead and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Like the video as well. Leave a comment down below about anything we talked about, anything you want to mention today from what our conversation was. And the game against the Utah Jazz audio listeners, same thing for you guys as well. And also follow me on Twitter at Bricey_2K, BRICEY_2K for all my takes on the Hawks and latest news and updates. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode. It's your boy Bryce Lewis. We'll see you next time.